So we'll start with introductions. I'm Christy Robinson. I'm glad you're here.
Should I?
Do you want to call on people maybe, Christy?
Yep, go ahead. How about we'll go to Jean?
I'm Jean also.
And Gary, how about, am I saying that right, Gary?
There, yes.
Yes, can you tell us a little about yourself? Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Gary Waddell. Actually, I'm a retired city employee. Um, I'm currently working at Navant and the YMCA. I have my magnificent boss in the back, so she's watching the meeting as well. Say hello, Jen.
Hello.
So I was actually worked in the fire department, and then I retired from there and went to human relations. So, and I ran into the mayor, and I was always been interested in sustainability. So this is a good match for me. And the mayor was gracious enough to allow me to serve on the committee.
We're so grateful that you are serving. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Jose?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jose Salcedo. Um, I'm, a, I'm one of the newest members here on this committee. Particularly what caught my interest in this committee is that it very much aligns with the work that I do. So I work for a local environmental nonprofit within the city of Winston-Salem, a grassroots nonprofit, Power Up North Carolina. So I serve as a community organizer. So just to kind of, just continue my work outside of work, this committee, very, very much piqued my interest. And then, just a few weeks ago, I was contacted by, it let me know that I was on the committee, and this is my first meeting.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much for coming. Jean, could you say just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I was a teacher. I'm retired teaching for 12 years now. And I taught an environmental studies class for 14 years, where we looked at the science and the political end. So it was kind of interesting to me. I'm really a history teacher, so the science was memorized. But I'm relatively new. I think this is my third meeting. So, Jose, you cannot do anything wrong because I've done it.
No. We're so grateful that you're there, that you're here. Mason?
Hey, Jose and Gary, it's nice to meet both of you. I'm Mason Stevens. I have been on the sustainability committee for, I want to say like 4 or 5 months now. I live in Ardmore. I'm a software developer by trade. Got into it mostly because I'm really interested in gardening and permaculture, and also, biking and walking infrastructure as well. It's an interest of mine. Actually, I think, Jose, during the PEA festival, I met you. I was in the tent next to you, I think. I was with the Winston-Salem Permaculture Collective. That was me. But yeah. So anyway, nice meeting both of you.
Oh, it's wonderful to have
Looking forward.
connections.
Yep, look forward to working with you guys.
Okay. Carter?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Amazing. Sorry. Yeah, I'm traveling as we speak. My name's Carter Berry. I know many of you, although not our newest members. I would also reinforce that you don't need to feel like you don't, to Jose, that you probably have a lot more to give to this committee than you appreciate, probably more than me for that matter, if I'm being honest. My background is I'm an environmental scientist. I have studied nature and how ecosystems work for a while, and I work for a nonprofit remotely here in Winston-Salem. And yeah, I've been on this committee a year and a half, so less time than Christy, but somehow a few months ago I got roped into being in charge, and so we successfully roped Christy to be also in charge.
Oh, nice. And I'm Christy Robinson. I am an elementary school teacher. I teach reading at Jefferson Elementary. I have 3 young children, and I'm an environmental enthusiast. I have no qualifications except that I love the earth, and I'm glad to be a human living on it. And I'm really grateful that all of you signed up for this committee. We're going to talk later about hopefully increasing our numbers. Katie, I'm not sure. Oh, did she? She just left. We have some. Dr. Miller, would you like to share a little bit about yourself since you're here, and then we can introduce our guests?
Sure. I am your staff liaison. I am director of the sustainability department. So I assist with this committee. You'll see agendas for me, setups, and I assist the committee getting the things through to council as you present them.
Wonderful. Thank you. We're so grateful for you in every capacity. I know most of the guests on here, but I'm not certain what Ms. Farina's role is.
Hi, yeah, my name is Katie. I'm an AmeriCorps service member with the City of Greensboro's Office of Sustainability and Resilience. So I'm with Shri.
Wonderful. Thank you for attending today. And so thank you. We're all so glad you're here. We're happy to have 2 new members. Before we move on to business, I would love to, did all the members, both new and that have been, oh, here comes Leah. That's great. Have a chance to look over the minutes from our previous April meeting on April 4th.
Yes.
And if I can have someone motion to approve those minutes.
I move
Jean,
that the minutes of the April
4th.
be accepted.
Great. And a second.
I second that motion.
Okay. Jose gave a second. And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Okay, great. We're going to say the minutes have passed. Leah, I know you're just hopping on. We just did introductions. We have 2 new members. Do you mind taking a moment to just share about yourself? A few little tidbits.
Hi, I'm Leah. I've been on the sustainability committee for a few years now. I live in the South Ward of Winston-Salem. And my background is in like nonprofit fundraising and communications. So that's what I do. I'm passionate about the environment, and welcome to the committee.
Thank you. We're glad you're here. Great. We have some guests here to talk about a research study that we've been trying to help get off the ground. And I don't know if Dr. Solomon or Dr. Stone, if you'd like to speak first or you'd like to hear us. I'm not sure if you have updates or if you'd like to hear from us. So
I'll let Solomon go first because I think the contention was with my section, but he'll give you some background on the purpose of the grant and what they're doing from a scientific standpoint. I'll kind of talk about the social science aspect.
wonderful. Dr. Solomon.
Okay. I'm Solomon Billing. I'm a professor of physics at North Carolina A&T. My background is in initially atomic molecular optical physics. In the last 15 years, I have been trying to apply my spectroscopy skills to understand processes in the atmosphere. So I do mostly atmospheric chemistry. So look at different types of emissions from different sources, what happens in the atmosphere, how particles are formed, and look at their health implications and climate impacts. My work now is more focused in air quality, and I'm mostly focused on African megacity air quality. That's the main part of my work. But this part of the work is the DOE-funded Climate Resiliency Center is trying to show the connection between air quality and climate, because these are 2 inseparable things, because the greenhouse gases are the very pollutants. So cleaning the air is actually mitigating the climate. And so some of the methods that we use to mitigate the climate, like tree emissions, anthropogenic emissions, sometimes may lead to undesirable situations of increasing the ground level ozone. And ozone is a pollutant that impacts both health, agriculture, and climate. So our scientific objective is really to look at the interaction between emissions from trees and their interaction with anthropogenic emissions that's coming from fossil fuel exhaust from cars, industry, and so on, and how they transform and form secondary organic aerosols in the atmosphere and look at their chemical composition. So we have a modeling group that's connected with the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory of DOE. So we're trying to look at the TRAD, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Piedmont TRAD, and Charlotte area. And so we were trying to do a very narrowly focused but high resolution modeling in this region to see the different chemical processes that take place in the atmosphere, and also do some kind of ground proofing. So we're going to sample the air in the region and do the chemical composition at the same time. So we have laboratory experiments and modeling experiments. That's the science aspect. But in the process, we want to see also how people, vulnerable communities, are impacted by air pollution. And because of air pollution, the consequence of that is probably climate and air quality. And of course, urban heat is also related to that, because urban heat islands are consequence of a changing climate, and they're also what we call urban pollution islands. So these are mostly concentrated in low-income communities. So it has to do with basically the housing construction, the tree cover, the closeness to emission sources are the factors that affect vulnerable communities. So one of the social science aspects which George is leading is to understand how people perceive those impacts and basically create awareness of the connection between climate, air quality, and urban heat. We also have Dr. Fiedler, another atmospheric chemist working in my group. He's also interested in developing citizen science approach to engage the community in taking measurements on their own. So we're working with EPA to get loans of several sensors to deploy in Greensboro, hopefully in other cities, but also engage the community leaders to be stewards of their own environment and do measurements and understand what the emissions are in their neighborhoods and what they can do about it. So that's briefly the general outlay of our center idea, and George can give you more about the social science aspect.
Can you talk about the potential for the climate center being located here? Wasn't that?
Yeah, so this is one of DOE's Department of Energy's initial seed grant to several minority serving institutions to see how this seed funding, well, what it leads to, and the impact will determine there is a plan by DOE to establish a climate lab, one of the national labs, a climate lab in one of the historically Black universities, and Howard, Morgan State, Tuskegee, and A&T are in the running. So, but producing good results would lead to bringing a DOE lab in our backyard. So that's another potential outcome of this if we get it right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is George Stone. I will say that I'm more into fact-based stuff in terms of my belief system. So facts would change my mind or not. But what I do is I try to keep an open mind about environmental issues. And I had to convince back in 1995. I had to convince I'm in marketing, that before we get too far along, the DOE and all these federal grants, these science grants, want a social science part of it because, as Solomon said, this is the second time I've worked with him on a grant, and all the science in the world, we can come up with facts, we can come up with all the different results, but if people aren't aware of it, or if they're not concerned about it, then probably all that science is not helpful. So we included a social science component, and I feel very fortunate to work with these guys. They're all the real climate scientists. But in 1995, when I was trying to propose a dissertation to a business school, I had the biggest issue I had was this: environmentalism is not part of marketing. And so I had to come up with it set me back a month, but I had to come up with a justification for including environmental issues as part of marketing. And, as we know, society moves along. It's huge. I mean, it's gigantic. Every corporation now has to demonstrate their social responsibility toward the environment, the external ecological environment. So I wrote a paper, got published. It was I wasn't even a grad. I was kind of like part of a class, and the guy didn't expect, just write a paper as part of the requirement. And I did, and it was on that issue. And I'm 6 months away from my dissertation, but he kind of liked it. He put his name on it, and then it got published. It was called Eco Scale, or the Scale to Measure Environmental Responsibility. It's published it's 1995, Psychology and Marketing, which at the time I didn't know what I was doing, had no clue, but it turned out to be one of the bigger papers that I've ever done. And I did it as a grad student. But I said, well, success from that, I can just carry this on into my dissertation. So I've kind of studied both consumer and also corporate issues related to environmental, their positioning. My actual dissertation had to do with image formation in petrochemical industry, because I grew up in the swamp of petrochemicals. I'm a Louisiana guy, so 75% of the employment down there is petrochemical industry. So I came up with a lot of different knowledge about that particular industry, but also in general. But it's really much bigger. It's far advanced. It's actually probably on most corporate websites, they'll have something that talks about their eco responsibility. I mean, it's huge. So I'm not saying I was ahead of my time. It's just maybe that's all I knew to think about. But it is now big. And what I do and what I've done, and I've kind of adapted it because the scale itself kind of looks at different factors like knowledge, awareness, ability to respond or act. So it has to be like locus of control. Some people don't think they can do anything about it, and so they don't. They don't. But I also say knowledge is one of the key features. If you're not aware that an issue is an issue, then you're not going to be concerned about it. So, I incorporate some of my original scale items and also scale development into my online surveys. Now, having said that as background, I am this Friday, tomorrow, I'm going to I'm working at the local, it's called Urban Ministry, but I'm handing out food tomorrow. And the dinner, when we cook them dinner, I've got a focus group there, because it just came to me. I said some of the most at-risk people to heat index and climate change and bad air and everything else are the homeless. And so I'm going to kind of focus group those people and just ask them questions. And I said, like, there's other things I'm working on that's not part of this grant, but it's just, I just said, if I'm doing one thing, I can do two things. So I'm going to sit down with a lot of them and maybe just get their opinions. Like, where do you stay? How do you get out of the heat? What are some of the health issues for you personally? So how do you cope? And so that's really all a focus group is. It's not, I'm trying to put you on a spot. I'm just trying to get information about what are some of the issues you're facing? How big of an issue is this thing? Is it a big deal? Because one of the things I always include on most of my surveys are on a scale of 1, like you rank order issues that are affecting your life, and traditionally, I can tell you that when I give it to my students in these large scale type, because I teach marketing research, and I put like 1 to 10. Global ecology has traditionally been like around 8. I mean, you can ask any question series. It could be economic issues, it can be racial issues, it can be violence, it can be illegal immigration, it can be anything, and you can put global warming, and it's kind of down the bottom. I don't know if that's changing, but that's traditionally been my results.
So, Dr. Stone, I'm sorry to interrupt. Does this mean that you don't need our support then because you're doing the focus group on Friday?
No, the more I can get it, the more, and I was just telling you that because it doesn't have to be formal. I could just talk with a group of 4 or 5 people, from selected areas, maybe that might be at risk. And, Solomon is, we could pay for lunch or whatever, give some incentive. But I just think it'd be kind of nice to have as much input as I can, because once we get that input and we kind of turn the comments into because they'll revolve around 4 or 5 factors.
Yeah, I think the whole goal is to have a representative focus group for each city, like in the TRAD, representative in a sense, representing the general public in your area, especially the most vulnerable members of the community. And then he's going to have a focus group that will guide the potential survey. And so we have to know what people think, their attitudes, and so on, to formulate the survey questions. So the goal is to have focus groups. We're planning to have one in Charlotte. We had one in Greensboro. We want to have one in Winston-Salem and maybe in High Point. And so that's what we need help on from the Sustainability Council groups.
We were so enthusiastic about the survey, and we would love to support you in any way possible. The members of the committee that have been trying have really been working hard to reach out to our connections and try to find people, and we're just not having a lot of success we're not filling our own committee. We're not, and that's on our agenda for later. We can't find members to fill the sustainability committee in Winston-Salem. And we're having trouble finding people, and we have 2 new members, so that we'd love to talk more with them. But we haven't, the existing members have not had a lot of success. We've reached out to a lot of people, and we're just kind of coming out that people are just at capacity and are not interested in serving. But I wonder if
this is not surveying. Actually, the focus group is going to be
in the focus group.
It's a meeting, and we'll provide if it's lunchtime, we can provide the lunch, and if there is transport needs, and any other incentives that would allow people to come and spend an hour or 2 with the team discussing questions.
Can I add a few pieces of information?
Yes, Carter, go ahead.
Yeah, so Kira, who was also involved with this, has unfortunately reached her term limit and no longer on the committee as of this meeting. But I couldn't follow everything, but I know she also sent Dr. Stone some leads as well. And so I think mostly what's happening on our end is there potentially are leads. It's just the ask is incredibly unclear. Are you asking us to set up a focus group for you, or are you asking for leads that you then set up a focus group? Because if it's the first one, if it's the first one, I think we don't have the capacity or space right now to like organize the focus group for you. If it's the second one, we've done it and we'll continue to help out. That's at least my personal stance. This is all interesting and important, but the extent to which we're sort of engaging and involving a community focus group and we're doing all the legwork other than you're throwing money at us or paying for a meal at it, like.
No, I think one of the approaches we are taking with the Charlotte group, and that's what they told us, is we told them they can advertise the idea of a focus group meeting organized in their building. They're going to host us in their own building, and people can either come in person or join on Zoom. They would like to do it on a hybrid basis. And then we'll see who shows up. And so what we're asking is providing the venue, making sure that our call is disseminated to all your contacts, and we'll see how many will show up. I mean, I don't think it's a big ask in this case.
Okay, so you're asking us to set up the focus group, set up the venue, like send it out to
the venue
contact.
and get the call out to the community people that you are aware of, because you know the people better than we do. We don't live there.
Yeah, we've sent several of those contacts to you all, but because we understood the ask to be that we would help you find it, not that we would be the organizers of the focus group. And so I think this is something, at least, I don't know if other people have things to add, especially some of our new members or some that weren't on the last call with you all, but I think this is something that we as a committee need to reflect on more. But I'm a bit hesitant to say that we are going to be the organizers of a focus group and send out a list and send it out an advertisement, set up a date and venue and do all the logistics behind that. That's at least my personal perspective based on how this has progressed so far, but I'm happy to hear from other people.
If money is really not an issue, then why not book somewhere like the SG Atkins Center, which I think, that's like somewhere between $400 to $600 for a full conference room. And then that's in the community, that it's a lot closer to the community you're looking to survey. That's an option. Like if you book them and give us a date and we can disseminate it, that's no problem. But, and especially like, I don't know what sort of hoops we have to jump through to use City Hall or whatever, a meeting room there. It's another question.
For use of City Hall, if it is the committee, I could just make a request on your behalf for committee members to use.
Well, it wouldn't be for the committee. It'd be a lot more than just the committee. We'd be having people from, from all over Winston that would be needing to come in to survey.
So City Hall is for the people's hall in a way, right? So why should that be a problem to have people come to the City Hall?
It's not a problem as long as it's for, the committee is hosting. But they have to agree still.
Yeah, Jean, go ahead.
I just have a problem, mainly because I hit a roadblock and I tried and the roadblock did not move. But I just have the problem of having this responsibility put upon us to gather people, to find the venue. I know you're coming up with the questions. I just have a problem with that.
I don't think we're
as Christy said, we had a problem gathering enough people for our committee. And I think we have to work as a committee a little bit longer so that we can start branching out. That's
but my question is, committee members are here. You recruit committee members to work with you for a year, commit more time. This is a one-time meeting with a group of people to just chat for an hour or two. And so we're not recruiting people to work with us the whole year. We're not looking for permanent members of our committee. We're just trying to get key elements in the community that could guide our survey questions and help us understand the needs and the concerns of the community. And it's just a matter of reaching out to people that and then we'll take the chance. If nobody shows up, it's our loss. If people show up and get things done, then we benefit. So why should it be a major problem to just help us with
it's
that?
more than what you've just said, though. We've already reached out to connections. and sent them along to you all. It's more than that. It's planning the date and the location and organizing the logistics. And I think the point about the fact that we're struggling to fill a committee, which is a red tape hurdle as much as it is a desire hurdle, is that we basically for months last year didn't exist, even though we still existed, because the city sustainability director left. And then when Shailene came in, we sort of reignited, and we're sort of still getting up to speed, which means literally in the next 30 minutes, we're doing a planning exercise so that we can actually be a bit more strategic about what we actually want to do as a committee. And so that's the idea, that we're planning this very specific project when like we still need to like fill out the committee and be strategic about what we actually want to do as a committee. Sort of, it's sort of like Maslow's hierarchy, right? This is a very like specific ask, and we sort of more basal needs to sort of figure out who we are.
So don't you see any benefit or value
our desire
in
to us directly, to our community members, to whom?
I think we might need to just touch base a little more as a committee, and we have 2 new members, and I think we'd love to touch base with them a little more and just grow a little bit as a committee. Is this something that we can reach back to you about?
Sure. I don't know. I don't know that I got any POC, points of contact. I got one name, and that's all I've gotten, and he's I guess a professor. It was asking me about the project, so it had nothing to do with focus groups. I don't know where the information went, but I mean, ultimately, yeah, I can do it.
I have 4 names in front of me that, but that were, I'm not sure who they were sent to from Miss Williams that was on our committee. But again, I just feel like we're just not all connecting, and I think we need to regroup a little bit. And just tonight, we have 2 new members tonight, and we had someone rolling off. I think our committee is just still new, and we're needing to regroup a little bit on our end.
Yeah, I mean, the person, okay, the only reason, just give me a second. The only reason we approached, I mean, this could be done. We could go to any church in a low-income neighborhood and talk to the pastor and talk about this. But the only reason we're coming through the sustainability group is because this is a sustainability issue. We're talking about the same idea. We have the same goal and the same purpose. So I thought such groups would be can work more effectively together because we have the same agenda, the same goal, and the same objectives. And that's why we're coming to the sustainability committees. Otherwise, we could easily find people in any church. We can go to a mall and talk to people. That can be done, but at least the cities that are involved should also be beneficiaries of whatever results come out in maintaining your resiliency goals and so on. That's the only reason we have 2 meetings. I don't think we need to have too many meetings on this. If there is no interest in pursuing this, we don't want to waste your time either. So,
Shri, did you have something to add?
Sorry about that. Yeah, Dr. Billerling just pretty much touched it, where we were just reaching out because Greensboro Sustainability Council. So we're like, yeah, Winston has a sustainability council as well. So let's do that because they're, set up similarly to Greensboro's. And so that was our aim. It wasn't like we were trying to overcommit you or anything like that. We were just trying to be kind of strategic in the way we were doing that. But, we understand that you haven't met, quorum, and you have new members, and we can just continue trying to find a group that is more ready to go and more interested in the project.
I really appreciate it. I think our committee has just been having a little bit of issues getting our feet underneath us, and we're still kind of new and figuring out our role and how to function as a committee. And Dr. Miller has been incredible, and we're so grateful to be working with her. So we're interested in working with A&T. I just don't know if we're in a place right now where we're able to quite quite help out where the way that you need us to.
Thank you. I have
Christy,
Yeah.
so you might, offer to take it to a vote for the group if you want to make a motion to assist or deny or put it off for time, just for logistics.
Sure. I think we'd really love to maintain a relationship. We don't have anything at this point to offer. And so I'm not sure what exactly the vote would be on that, Dr. Miller.
You might, I don't know, a motion to table it or to not participate at this time. I'm not sure either. I'm not legal, but
and I don't want to put our new members on the spot, but they might have something to add, and so I don't really want to discuss it with them, right at this time before.
I think we should motion to follow up on it in the next meeting so that it gives everyone a little bit of time to reflect in this moment, and so that our new members specifically can get a little time to reflect on the conversation, since this is brand new to them. So next meeting I would propose that next meeting we add 10 minutes to the agenda to have this conversation and then make a motion at that meeting. That's what I would propose. Is that something I could propose?
I think so.
Okay. So I motion to table this for now and discuss it at the next meeting.
Seconded.
I'm sorry, I'm taking minutes. Who seconded it?
Mason Stevens seconded.
Thank you.
And then all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so any opposed? Okay,
do we recognize as abstentions?
Sure.
Okay, I abstain.
Okay, so I think we have 6 voting in favor and 1 abstention.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. I think we have, I have to leave for another meeting, so.
Thank you very much, we appreciate it.
Thank you, appreciate your diligence here. So any way we can help, I'll be happy to do whatever, answer questions. So good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Okay. So it looks like we're back to just our committee members. I appreciate that. That was a lot to start our meeting. Jose and Gary, thank you for that. We have not been entirely clear about what A&T has been asking of us, which is part of the confusion about that. And we can discuss that at our next meeting a little more. Even today, we weren't really sure if we were the ones planning the focus group or if they were planning the focus group and who we wanted to come. And we've asked for some information about that. And it's been a little unclear. We also do have members rolling off and on. And it's something like we said, we are interested in partnering with them, but we're not totally sure if they ask. So we would love to circle back on that. And I know we're running a little low on time, but yes, Jose.
This is just a suggestion. That this may be just me thinking based on my organizing background. But so that way we can have a proper discussion next meeting, and we know specifically. Do you think we could either reach out? I believe I forget their names. I wasn't paying attention to the screen. I was trying to listen, but the 2 individuals that were representing A&T. Is there a way that we can get kind of like a written request or kind of like have documentation of what they're requesting of our committee? Has that been something that we've asked for in the past, or is that something that we can ask for?
I have the last time they reached out. They created a 1-pager, and I can definitely send that on to you.
Okay.
And I'd like to say, I too, when they've asked me, they have told me they could just talk to y'all for an hour. Now that's not what it sounded like today, but that was what they had told me in the past. So I don't know whether that is still what they were thinking or not. So
And I think it's and I'm very much new to this committee, but I've served in leadership roles. I'm a current executive board member of my fraternity. I think one thing that can help us understand what their ask is having that documentation, as well as seeing if that still aligns with what their ask is now, as well as seeing if they have any like marketing or presentations for this
I can
presentation.
forward those both to you. There's a video and a document. I will send them both to you so you can
Okay.
take a look at them.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. And we would love to help them. Like I said, we would love to partner with them if we can. And if you have individuals that you are aware of that are in East Winston that would love to meet an hour, I mean, we would love that to connect them. So if either of you have that would be great. It's also like having that, and now knowing that we need to set up the meeting too. So we that's something, let's definitely talk about that, and we can talk about that on email as well. Dr. Miller, you have some staff updates that you would like to talk about.
All right, so first I'm going to go ahead and share, hopefully I'm going to try to share my screen. Let's see. Well, Larry, am I able to share my screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay. All right, well, I am having technical difficulties, so I guess I will talk without showing the presentation. This presentation is available on the committee website for, if you look up Public Works, it is in the documents that I presented. So at the last committee meeting, at some point, you all had voted to go ahead and present the document from the committee. And then in May, I presented to Public Works Committee the update from the sustainability for the year, where I wrote a report. So it included a report, a short presentation, and your committee letter that did say you hadn't met and that your last resolution had been turned down. So with that, I want to give you a few highlights of what I told the council, and that is that we recalculated our greenhouse gases. We changed the metric we are using because at some point in time they had frozen what they were using, the pounds per kilowatt hour, to show consistency so that people wouldn't get confused. But over time, from when it was made, Duke has decreased it quite a bit. So we are now recalculating our greenhouse gases using the more recent Duke actual numbers. With that, we've also had a very strong push because of Duke energy rate increases. There was a fuel surcharge, and they also got agreed that over the next 3 years, they can increase our rates every year. They front loaded that into this year. So many of our departments, our streetlights, our utilities are going to get much more expensive, or already have, and are going to be going over budget. That said, our budget request from council is to start replacing the streetlights with LED that are not LED yet. So we still have 25,000 or so high pressure sodium lights, and we are going to upfront pay Duke to replace those. The payoff for that is about 3.5 years, and it will reduce the overall city energy consumption by 8.67%. So it's a really big percentage.
That's great.
We are going to do this in 2 rounds. So the idea is we don't think that Duke can replace them all in 1 year. So we're going to do all the major street lights, and we get the biggest savings in the first year, and then we'll pay the second year to do the remaining residential streets. Our hope is that also by waiting on the residential, that if Duke ever allows to have a warmer product, instead of 3,000 K, that they go to like 2,700, that we would be able to put those in residential areas so that it's a less white light. So that would be there. Our solar panels on the Bryce A. Stewart building are now live. And if you go to the sustainability website, there is a link. It's not super prominent, but it is there, that you can see the live production of the solar panels. So for those of you just entering, it is a 70 kW system. We installed it in December, and then we waited to turn it on because there was a low-income bonus on the IRA grants that we were waiting on. It had been turned in, and we waited on. They gave out all the money before they got to us. And so we did not get that low-income bonus. We went ahead and turned it on immediately. We did get a $52,000 rebate from Duke, and we will be applying for the IRA direct or elective pay, whichever you want to call it, coming up. EV vehicles. Well, I have an update that even council hasn't heard. We have 4 Teslas sitting in the fleet parking lot. Our first e-transit van came in and was on the road in March. Chargers are installed at utilities, and now we have chargers installed at fleet. On order are also 3 Ford Lightnings. We expected by the dealer to get them in by October. And those will be going to streets and stormwater. In the June council meeting coming up, it will be Pollinator Awareness Month, and we are presenting a proclamation from the mayor to Audubon and to Max at Bashavia Gardens for putting in our 2nd Street demonstration garden. This is a garden that is connected to our natural landscape ordinance that was passed earlier this year. And it will be, they're even replaced, so it's supposed to show a native garden with the 5-foot setback that our natural landscape area requires. But they even are killing the grass in the 5-foot setback and trying to put in a native one. And Audubon gave the donation for the plants, Bashavia Gardens and Matthew Mayers are installing and agreeing to upkeep. I believe Bashavia Gardens is trying to adopt that park as well for long term. We are also very excited about our Happy Hill Meadow project. It's about 1 acre. If you go out there, you can see our signs on where it's going to be. They've killed the grass once. They've got to kill it once or twice more to make sure they get the different types of weeds that are out there. And we are working with several experts to identify proper seeds so that we have a successful wildflower meadow. And if any of you, I believe, I don't know if Carter watched it. I don't know, Matthew Mayers watched it, that we have, it was immediately asked, MPT Adams, for example, asked, hey, I would like to have one of these over in a park near my ward. So hopefully it turns out really well and it's something we can continue. Update on hydroponics. In Q1 of 2024, they produced almost 2,000 pounds of food and planted over 16,000 seeds. So Hope of Winston-Salem uses it to help feed 445 families on a weekly basis. And big thing starting next week is our food resilience planning. And this partner feedback, please, even yourselves, take the survey. A lot of people are not taking the survey because they think it doesn't apply to them. Maybe I'm not the food desert. I'm not the people it matters. We want everyone to take it. So please take the survey on our website. It's also, it's wsfoodsurvey.mysocialpinpoint.com. And I can send that out by email since I'm not being able to display it too. But we are having community meetings. Again, these are on our website. Starting next week, we'll be at Haynes Hosiery. So that's June 14th at 4 p.m. And we've tried to both space out the locations of these and the times. So they're different times a day and different days of the week. So we tried to just hit as much, flexibility as possible for people. Next one is at June 20th at noon at Rupert Bell. June 26th at 7 p.m. at Sprague. And we'll have a translator there as well for Spanish. In July, we are going to be hosting one on the 11th at 6 p.m. in the City Hall Committee Room. This is in place of the food policy meeting that usually is there. And July 15th, there will be one online that's virtual at 5:30. So again, please attend, ask others to attend. We are just getting as much feedback as we can to write this report to indicate what should we be doing to, request of council in the future for food resilience. So that is what I have. A few more updates. I don't remember, did I tell everyone that I am also currently serving as the Director of Intergovernmental Relations?
Yes, and how, wow.
So I work with all the grants for the city. So working with fire, PD, others going on. We did put in for a Seasite grant for Department of Energy last month. That is a $1.5 million ask that we put in to put solar panels on and do some microgridding on 3 community centers. So fingers crossed for that. We would find out in November. And I am currently working on revisiting the CFI, which we had a failed grant last year on. We are currently looking into it and seeing if we could put a better proposal for right now. Those are due in August.
Dr. Miller, you are incredible. Would you mind sending out the dates and the times of the meetings that you listed as well?
Absolutely.
As well as the link?
Absolutely.
And to catch Gary and Jose up, like we said, there was a lot of transition in the sustainability office. Jean's new on the committee. Leah and I have been on a while. Mason's fairly new on the committee. Dr. Miller has done so much since she's been on. I mean, just these reports that you can see, and she has not been on long. And our whole committee was paused. We were spinning our wheels a lot. And she's been on and just able to really start focusing on this. So now the next part of the agenda is called visioning. And it's kind of, we're not really sure how what our best focus and function is as our committee. Like, these reports from Dr. Miller are incredible and they're really inspiring for us. And also, how would our committee best serve? Excuse me, my dog is sneezing next to us, participating. She's excited about this committee as well. What function can we serve to be most supportive in our limited time and resources, and also with the passions and experience and excitement that we each bring? And we're all volunteers and we all have other things that we have in our lives, but I was hoping that we could talk. I think as our committee, we have 2 primary objectives right now from my end of things. I think one is filling our committee is our top priority. I have tried really hard to fill our committee and I'm not being successful, and that's not typical for me. And so I would love to somehow spend some time brainstorming on who we can reach out to, who we can talk to, how we can fill our committee. We need to be representative of Winston-Salem. And so we need to have our demographics look representative to the demographics of our city. We can't have all white women. We can't have all, Black men. We need to be representative of our city. And so that's a component. And we need to have a variety of ages on our committee as well. So that's number one. Our second priority is I would love to have us do something as a committee that makes us feel more cohesive and productive. I think that we've that Dr. Miller is at capacity for what she's been doing, as she's working 2 jobs currently, and has been doing wonderfully. And so I would love to kind of shift that Carter and I, the leadership on us, and share the responsibility on all of us to kind of find, I would love to take a few moments to try to find something that we all feel passionate about, that we could have a sort of win that we could work on. I sit on the Winston-Salem City Sustainability, the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools Sustainability Committee. And we're doing a lot of exciting work there, and I don't have time to share about all that good work that we're doing on the Winston-Salem school side of things, but there's a couple projects that we're doing that feel really exciting, and it makes us feel good. And one of the projects we're working on is composting in a box. So we have a school, Spies Elementary School, composts every single day. They've saved 16 tons from the landfill of waste this school year. And we're trying to move that to 4 schools in the district this coming year. And so what we're working on this summer is we're trying to make that more streamlined. And so we're coming up with, what does composting in a box look like? How can we, when we bring this, how can we make it the easiest possible? And so that's like one project that will take us hopefully a few hours, and like thoughtfulness with working with various organizations. I would love to spend a few moments. And I know that I wasn't prepared for A&T to be in attendance today. I did not know that they were coming, in that I didn't know that I was leading the meeting today until just right before. So I'm sorry that that was not communicated to me properly, and that I was not up on that. But I would love to take a few minutes to just come up with something that we could do as a committee that makes us feel like we're doing something purposeful and along that lines. And I don't know if Dr. Miller has some suggestions, or if anyone here has some suggestions. I have a few like smaller ones that we could maybe start with, but I'd love to start opening up the floor to see if someone has something small that we could focus on to move forward.
Well, I think what we're doing with the Second Street Pollinator Garden and the Happy Hill Garden are good, but we could definitely expand that to a lot of the different parks around here. Like, for example, the one that was just put on 4th Street, I'm forgetting the name right now, right in front of Callidium. It's very sterile looking. I don't know if you guys have been by there, but it is a sea of concrete, and it does not look particularly good to me. I think if we added pollinators there and convinced Parks and Rec to get on board with that, that would be kind of an easy win, in my opinion.
I love that suggestion, Mason. Like, that would be something that we could get our hands dirty. It's something that's really popular right now. We could, you're giving us a specific place, a specific ask. It could be done in an afternoon. I think those are the kind of ones that we're looking for. I love that.
And I think that would be something, it would be a beginning for us to work together, instead of saying, we're going to take over an elementary school and what Spies involves. I mean,
yes.
Yeah. And I volunteered.
We were there too. Yes.
Yeah. And there were, we have, I don't know how many people we have now, but there were like 20 different people when I was there.
And now Spies Composting is running completely student and staff run
by himself.
Volunteers.
Isn't that amazing?
And now we're on the 3rd year of them composting. So Jose and Gary, I'm not to say that this is the whole, that we do have big plans as a sustainability committee, and that we are interested in making a large impact across our community, and starting with the city, that everyone on this committee has a lot of passion for the environment on a wide scope of issues. I do just think it would be really nice if we could come up with 1 or 2 smaller things to kind of gel as a community, as a committee, and kind of get our wheels kind of turning a little bit.
Right.
And like Jean said, yes.
May I ask one thing? If you pick up projects that are more like physical versus being, advisory, I would appreciate it if you also talk about how you're going to fund it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Details.
Maybe we could also come up with a list of things that are 0 budget, 0 to low budget things. Like, I don't know if Winston-Salem would be open to like a a lights out sort of a resolution where we turn all the new lights off during migratory bird season so that it, I don't know, like that's a thing cities do. And I think that in fact, it would save money. So maybe there are things like that we could think of sometime that are like wins. I think it would be amazing if Winston-Salem did that, and but don't really cost that much.
There's I'm a member of PEA, and I met with PEA last week with Jamie Meyer, who's the ED of Piedmont Environmental Alliance, and there's something called a climate fresque. It's like a interactive, gamified way to understand climate change a little better, even for Jamie Meyer, who's the head of Piedmont Environmental Alliance, who's quite checked in with the environment. She is learned from it. And there's someone named Alex, who's a member of PEA, facilitates it. It's like it would be an hour long time that we could commit as a committee to find a time, maybe over a beer, to just learn a little bit about climate change, how it specifically applies to our area. It could connect us a little bit better, and it would be something that's free and interesting, and then maybe would help us get some ideas of better focus on something in our area.
I want to suggest that you can do that, but if you're going to all be there, you need to have it as a public meeting.
Okay.
Because you otherwise you can't have a quorum of you meet. Otherwise it's going outside of public meeting laws.
Right. So could you advise us a little bit better? So if we were all able to come up with a time to, say, meet at an outside location to do this interactive climate change game,
I would say, let me know and let me ask legal or how to do it properly.
Okay. Would that be something that you all would be interested in to help us kind of connect a little bit?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a suggestion from Jamie Meyer. We might be able to start there, and that maybe could help us move forward. Solarize the Triad is another initiative by PEA that is really exciting right now. There's not a hard ask for them, but they need some. Solarize the Triad is an initiative from PEA. Some of you might be familiar and you might not, but there's a lot of companies, because of the grant funding from the government and all the national fundings. There's a lot of companies right now that are trying to put solar panels out, and some are more predatory than others, and not all solar panels are created equal, and not all funding is created equal in solar panels. And so PEA has put together some ways to kind of make a co-op for solar panels, to ways to get better solar panels and get better interest rates. And Winston-Salem, the city of Winston-Salem, Dr. Miller is aware, and the city of Greensboro endorsed this program. And they really just help vet the folks that are coming to your door and help you understand which ones are the best. And so it's just hard to sift through all the information. And so Solarize the Triad is something that they're looking for volunteers to help, disperse that information to. So that would be another way for us to partner with PEA to help spread that information. So I think there are some things. I know we're running out of time. We need to talk about when our next meeting would be. I think I'm going to talk with Dr. Miller about potentially the climate fresque and getting together and checking with legal to see if there's a time, and I'll send out a survey monkey or a link about that to see if we can find a time to get together.
Yeah.
As far as our next meeting, right now on the table are July 11th and August 1st. If everyone would pull up their calendars and see what
because July 4th, it would be your standard meeting.
Right. I am going to be out of the country on July 11th, but I'm not, and that doesn't mean that we still can't meet if other people are available. Leah?
Either of those days work for me.
Okay.
Same here.
Same here.
Same here.
Yep. Same.
Okay, well, let's keep, I will not be in attendance, but let's keep July 11th then as the next meeting, and hopefully we can roll along on some other issues. And then Dr. Miller and I will talk about moving forward with the dates on some of the other things.
And I would just like to remind you, all those who said it was possible, remember that knowing Christy's not going to be there, all of you would have to show up for it to be a quorum. So,
would Carter
and-
be there? So Carter would have to be there too, correct?
yes.
Okay. And
Because
we're still
we
really
gained
looking
2
for
members, we lost 2 members at the same time, so we still have, 3 vacancies.
I have a question. Are we basing quorum on the on the total amount of members that are supposed to be on this board?
Correct.
Okay, so is there a reason why we're not basing on the current membership?
It's based on our
This is how
bylaws.
legal defines it.
Legal defines it? Okay,
Mhm.
that's unfortunate.
Dr. Miller, is Angela Coleman still the city attorney?
She is the overall city attorney. We work with Fred Evans, who supports these committees.
Okay.
So moving forward, we'll set that date and hope everyone can come. And Jose and Gary, if you have friends or people that are interested in serving on this committee, we'd love to have them to start really moving our wheels a little bit more. And we'll be in touch on some of the other issues.
Good deal.
Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you.
thank you so much. Good
Thank you,
meeting,
guys.
Christy.
Thank you.